Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the xDuoo XA-10, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Apos Audio for providing the XA-10 from xDuoo for review. Do greatly appreciate it. Apos Audio, you rock. Okay, so the xDuoo XA-10. This will set you back $480 on the Apos Audio website. And this is a very interesting little device. Now, it is a fully balanced DAC amp. Has dual AK4493 DAC chips. It does MQA, DSD all the way up to 512. Does 32.768, and it has all kinds of inputs and outputs and lots of power. It's 3,000 milliwatts at 32 ohms on single-ended and 4,000 milliwatts at 32 ohms on balanced. So it's got all kinds of other information available. So check out the link down below or above, wherever I place it, for the xDuoo XA-10. It'll explain it a lot better than me and probably give you some information that I don't mention. Has Bluetooth input along with RCA ins, coax, optical, and USB. Outputs are RCA only. No XLR out or in. Very interesting choice for a fully balanced DAC amp. On the front, you've got 1/4 inch XLR and 4.4. On the sides, you have some interesting design choices. It's a menu, and well, on the one at the top here, when you flick it, it changes your inputs. And it'll say it on the screen which one it is. Kind of hard to see. The volume knob changes. And you got all your inputs. It'll tell you what kind of music file rate you have coming in and that kind of thing, also on the front. If you press the middle button, you've got a couple of different settings that you can change, and you go up and in between them by changing the volume knob, and then you select it, and then you can change your different settings. And you have filters, gain. It's really frustrating to be able to change your gains that way, especially when you're listening to music, because you can't do it on the fly. And you also have filters on here, which kind of change the upper registries. I didn't hear a whole lot of difference. They're very subtle, but there are differences if you want to mess around with the filters. And then the bottom button here puts you into pairing mode for Bluetooth. Overall, I just find that this would be a whole lot better of a system if you had a remote control. Just go ahead and turn that off. One other thing that is a kind of a hard thing with this is this power cable does not stay connected very well, and it comes disconnected if you move your device. So do be careful and mindful of that. Bluetooth, there was no issues with connectivity, and sounds like Bluetooth. Didn't really use it. I found that overall the design is just kind of, yeah, I mean, it's cool looking, right? You don't see too many things with a red device. You don't see too many things with a little bit less than a 1-inch screen with all the information on it. And it's kind of nice that they hid the buttons, but it's not so nice that they hid the buttons because they're extremely hard to touch. And they're kind of sensitive. And so if you have your device a little bit further back, you have to reach, and then you're kind of guessing, and they're a little bit close. So if you have bigger fingers like I do, it makes it hard to kind of get the right one. It's just kind of a clunky. As I said, a remote control would have been nice. Doesn't take up much space though on the desk, which is a plus. But that's not the most important thing. Does it power devices? Does it power a lot of headphones? Yes. It does have a bit of output impedance on it, so some IEMs will not play on it. I was getting some hissing with higher, with lower impedance devices. It was getting hissing, and so there was a little bit of issues there. But for the most part, it'll power headphones. And when I say it'll power pretty much any headphone, I mean it went from my Rode NTH 100s all the way to my Bear Dynamic DT880 600 ohms, and I had plenty left on the old volume knob, and you could tell that it was powering it properly. So if you are looking for something with higher requirements as far as a headphone, this will do the job. It's a very powerful device and has no problems whatsoever. How does it sound? That's about the most important thing when it comes to DACs and amps. Before we get into that, I want to thank my YouTube members and Patreon supporters for all that they provide to the channel. Do greatly appreciate your love and support and your willingness to sacrifice in your daily lives to provide a few funds to the channel. Those funds do help to provide gear to review, and also provide gear to present those reviews, and also just to say thank you to the channel. All funds that are provided are used in the channel production of reviews, whether it be gear purchased to review or gear used to produce those reviews. I want to thank each and every one of you for everything that you provide. If you're interested in joining the YouTube memberships or Patreon, please check out the links down below. Also, while you're checking out the links, don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video and hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified next time a video is uploaded. XDuoo XA-10, how does it sound? There's going to be two kind of sonic descriptions, so to speak. So the DAC and amp version of the XA-10 has a warmer, more pleasing, kind of laid back, chill, I'm comfy type of sound. It's very engaging and fun. Bass has good amount of power and authority and good energy, and overall a good punch, and just will keep the toes tapping and the arms pumping. The tone and timbre is good. Detail retrieval and resolution is all right. Every now and then you'll get a little bit of bloatedness and one-noteness, but for the most part, it's a nice and pleasant bass, and very engaging, and as I said, toe tapping. The mids of the XA-10 are a little bit more forward. They're a little bit more in your face. A little bit too presented and focused. Every now and then that it will sound a little unnatural just because of their positioning. Overall, though, the tone and timbre of the XA-10 is very nice. It has good detail retrieval and resolution, and it's a fun and just pleasing and a little bit more intimate type of mid, but at times it does sound a little unnatural because it is presented a little bit too forward. And then the treble. The treble is presented nicely, but it does roll off at the top, so you lose a little bit of air and space. Has good energy and sparkle, especially in the lower and main parts of treble. But when you get into the upper reaches, it does kind of sound a little bit compressed and a little bit gasping for air at times. But overall, the tone and timbre is good, and detail retrieval and resolution is all right. Soundstage wise, this is not going to be the widest sounding device when using the DAC and the amp together. It is an okay soundstage. It's about average. I wish that it had a little bit more width to things, and that it had a little bit more depth and layering. At times it can sound a little compressed. It can sound a little bit intimate, but imaging wise, things travel across the stage very well, and it does a very good job of being pinpoint, telling you exactly where things are, and depth and layering is good. So overall, I find that the DAC amp as a whole is good, but it's a little bit more on the intimate, fun, side and laid back, doesn't quite have that airy, more natural approach to things. Removing the internal DAC and using this as an amplifier and plugging in your own DAC, something like a Audom X1 SGT, an Aueze Deckard, Mytek Liberty DAC 2, something along those lines, all of a sudden the XA-10 becomes a beast. And it becomes a very good Class A amplifier. You get still a little bit of that warmth from Class A, and you have a ton of power. But what it does really well is it reproduces what the DAC is presenting it. And it does a very good job of opening up and sounding better than the internal DAC. And you just get a better experience. Overall, I like the XA-10 as its own amplifier instead of using it as a combo. I found that it reproduced those other DACs very well with adding just a little bit of a kiss of that Class A warmth. The xDuoo XA-10. I like it. It's something different. If you're looking for a warmer approach to sound, something with a good amount of details and resolution and tone and timbre, and a more laid-back, fun, engaging sound on your desk, here you go. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more natural and accurate and a little bit more neutral leaning, I would either use this as its own amplifier with an external DAC, or I would just go with something else. I like the XA-10, but it does have limitations, and it's a little bit of quirky of a device. And in my opinion, using it as the DAC amp combo or using it as an external amp, it's a little overpriced, especially using it as just as an amplifier. But I like it. It does what it's supposed to. It's got plenty of power. Power anything. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next videos, somewhere on screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Then don't forget to check out the links, as there's information down there regarding gear recommendations, music used during the review, and all kinds of other things like gear tier lists and all of that. So check out the links down below. And then don't forget that you need to enjoy the music, and honesty is the best policy.